I'm developing a website, but it's to the point now where I can actually start to share some stuff out. And I've had a few requests for that, and if you would like to be one of those people, then please go ahead and email me at pat@patrickwsmith.com. I find with the new version of Zoom, every 5 seconds, the 14-year-old kid that runs Zoom changes their idea about how it should look and how it should work. And so I have not figured out how to copy the chats the way that they used to do that. Welcome to technology. And I learned something at the beginning of the pandemic when I started doing these things in earnest. And over the last, 4 years or so, almost 5 years now, it's hard to believe. And it made me realize that every time Zoom comes up with a new idea or a new legal requirement because people are jumping in on meetings they're not supposed to be on, crazy stuff happens, that I was finding myself getting frustrated when some new thing would launch. And they can come at any time. They can come at the beginning of a meeting. And the system would go down and things would be crazy. And it occurred to me that I was in a pattern. I expected a pattern of behavior in a way from the machine. I expected a pattern of behavior from Zoom. And it made me think of the fact that I was really dependent upon a pattern of everything in my life. The way we get up in the morning, the way we get dressed. We have patterns for our clothing. We have patterns for our food. We have patterns for our family. We have patterns for our jobs, for sure. And we have patterns in our own, in the privacy of our own world, whatever that is, and whatever that looks like. And it begs the question, is the pattern that I am in here, am I stuck? Do I even know that I'm in a pattern? Do I recognize that this is a pattern, and like any pattern, it can be changed? Do I like the pattern? Is the pattern loving for me? Does it feed me? Does it feed my soul? Does it feed my spirit? Does it feed my mind? And if I look carefully, as I was saying, I was looking at Zoom, even tonight there was a change. Am I going to allow that change to upset me? Am I going to go, oh, this platform, I wish they'd just leave it alone, and raise my own tension in my body and my spirit? Or am I just going to say, oh, I'm going to change that pattern about myself? If I have no control over what the owners of Zoom do, and whenever they make a change, if it comes to me as an inconvenience, if I interpret it as a problem, then I'm allowing somebody else way out there, wherever they are, in California or Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I'm allowing them to define how I feel. I'm allowing some outside corporate entity to determine how I feel and how I'm living my life. We look at the events of this past weekend with, Donald Trump. Whether you love him or hate him, nobody should be doing what happened. And I'm not even going to give it airspace. But we all know what happened. And that just should not happen. It should not happen anywhere. It's so unnecessary. But the people that do things that are hurtful to other people are stuck themselves in patterns. And we all look to blame somebody else. We all look to say, well, that's their fault. And I am poor and unhappy because somebody else made me poor and unhappy. Or I'm sick and I have a disease, and I have it because I don't deserve to be healthy. something about me is wrong, and I deserve the punishment of this sickness in my body. Or I have a bad habit. I smoke or I drink too much. I grew up with my parents were both. Well, my mother was a little crazy, but my dad was an alcoholic, and they both smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day. And that's 160 cigarettes a day in my youth. And trust me, secondhand smoke is real. And it creates a physical addiction. And when I started having reactions to that addiction, even though I didn't smoke, if I was away from the home, if I was away from the house, I would begin to crave nicotine. Because when I was home for the first 5 or 6 years of my life, I became a secondhand smoker. It's really remarkable. So that was a pattern that I grew up in, and it took me a while to figure out, well, I can change that pattern. So what I thought it would be nice to do tonight is find something, and this ties right into the idea of manifestation. Explore it for a couple of minutes. And in a moment, I'll give you some time to do some little exploration before we go into this fully. But think about your life for a minute. Think about what you do, what your daily life looks like. And a pattern doesn't have to be bad either. If it's loving to you, if it's healthful to your mind and to your heart and to your spirit and to your body, well, that's a good pattern. You don't have to change that. But maybe there's some way that you can make it even better. Or maybe there's some way you can shift something else from that place that's going to make an improvement for you in your life. Pattern changing, because it's choice. Now, if you look at meditation, we're here to meditate. And the idea of being present and in the moment. Well, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, here's your past, and here's your future. Well, where are you? Well, you're in the middle. And some people say that, the famous praying hands is just that. That's the message behind this. You can either be here, or you can be here. But the key is that you are here. And you can be here with anything you want to have in this space. And so when you are able to, as you are able to find your way to a quiet place, you can begin to look at the idea of patterns and manifestation. And the secret behind manifestation, and I'm blessed to have a gift for this. For 48 years, I've been teaching music and performing music. I've been performing music for 63 years, really. And I've been teaching it for almost 50. Actually, I've been teaching music for 50 years and studying meditation and martial arts and all this stuff. And what I've come to realize through all that is that we can take something that we believe to be absolutely true and then look at it from a different angle and see a completely different side to this thing. So here's my horrible situation today in my life. But if I suddenly kind of take a different way of looking at it, I can see new things about this and things that I can change. I can manifest in this moment a new vision of this problem right here. I don't have to assume that this is the way it is. It's unchangeable. I just have to change my mind about the way it looks. And I've been teaching in the inner city for all that time. Well, at least in the high school area. I've been in New Haven, Connecticut for 28 years, teaching at an arts high school. And with the youth of today, they are suffering from a lot of patterns that are thrust upon them because they're too young to understand, and They don't have the experience to navigate them, like addiction to the phone or addiction to social media, addiction to things that are what the psychologists call maladaptive coping behaviors: smoking, drinking, sex, drugs, any habit that is not loving to them can be changed. And it's changed in this moment. So I'm gonna be quiet for a moment or two, and I'm gonna ask you to just reflect on a pattern that you have that may not be serving you in the best and most loving way. And it can be a pattern in anything: a family pattern, a job pattern, eating pattern, whatever the pattern is. Come up with something that you want to look at that you would really just, it's not crucial, it's not going to end your life if you don't deal with this, but something you would like to change and have been struggling to figure out how. So go ahead for a minute or so and come up with an idea. All right, a few more seconds and then we'll step into this. Okay, I hope you have something that you can look at. So here's our little laundry list. We're going to look at changing a pattern in ourselves that will ultimately make it a more loving experience. It doesn't necessarily mean stopping something, but it definitely means looking at it, whatever it is, from a slightly different angle and getting a new idea about it. The presence, the in the momentness of this is that when you are in your process, I'm inviting you to avoid saying, I don't, or I do not, or I can't. Keep the negative out of it. Say, I am. So if let's say I was a heavy smoker and I'm trying to manifest not smoking. If I say to myself, I don't smoke, well, don't is a negative. And what we're doing when we do this is we're actually talking to our subconscious mind. And when we are speaking to our subconscious mind, it hears and sees everything and puts its own spin on it. Pardon me, it puts its own spin on it, and very often will turn around and use it against you. So if you place the idea that everything you're going to say to yourself is positive and loving and now, then you will, even though that's future tense, you will have, which is past tense, but you will create this new pattern. You just have to say that you're in it now. So be here now. And that's literally what that means. So I wouldn't say I don't smoke. I could say I have very healthy lungs. You could say I love fresh air. I love fresh, clean air. I am healthy. I love the feeling of a deep, clean breath. Stuff like that. Things that describe this moment of having no smoking problems in your body. Drinking. I love having a clear head. I love seeing clearly. I am seeing clearly. I am focused. I am loving. I love to share my true self. Things that are positive about yourself. And the place we're going to go today, we went once before. It's down a tunnel. And as we descend through this tunnel, we're going to arrive at a place, and the place is your choosing. Think of the best imaginary place, imaginary, not a real place you've been, imaginary place that you would love to go, where you can be completely private and with yourself and with the universe. Children use their imaginations because they're practicing this exact thing. We use our imagination to create the world that we want to be in. And manifestation is making that creation a reality. So let's do this. Let's breathe in and in, out, 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 out. In. You can gently close your eyes. Out, 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 out. In, 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 out, 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 out. 3 more. In, out, 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 out. In, out, 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 out. In, out, 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 out. Now your lungs are beautifully balanced chemically. Your body is soft. Your body is peaceful and quiet and relaxed. Your mind feels free. And now step into your eyes and be very consciously present in your eyes, with your eyes closed. And experience looking through your eyelids and really being completely awake in your eyeballs. See the shapes, shadows, lights passing in front of your eyelids. And now turn your focus behind you and step in your imagination out of your eyes into a big space behind your eyes, into the room that is your imagination. And take another step away from your eyes and another step, and find yourself backing up into this room, backing up into the space in your imagination. And look around, see what's there. Acknowledge it and then move on. Step further back, you may see more things, you may see fewer things. There's no right or wrong here, it's just what is. And as I step further back in my mind, I'm 15 feet away from those windows, those eyeballs, which are now windows. In my imaginary room, I step back further, 20 feet away, looking far across the room at those 2 windows and the light that is coming in through them. And I'm not even going to step back further. until those windows really begin to get small. Maybe I'm 30 feet away. And now I'm going to think, looking up, and this tunnel is upward now. And I'm going to begin to rise in this tunnel. And I can feel the sides of the tunnel. It's not overly narrow, but it's a tunnel. And as we rise higher and higher in this tunnel, we're passing through space, really. Perhaps you'll see some colors around you. If you're looking up in your imagination, you may see colors approaching you, and then you wash through them like you would lights if you were riding a subway or a train going through a tunnel. And we continue to rise and rise and rise, traveling faster and faster. And up ahead, we can see a pinhole of light. And as we move toward it, it begins to expand. And suddenly we emerge into that beautiful imagined space where we can all be completely safe and completely alone, except for the spirit that you are and that can fill that space with you. You're really not separate from that spirit. I mean, you are that spirit. Fill the space with you. And now, begin to have a conversation with yourself or whomever or whatever other presence might be there with you, is there with you. Look at the pattern that you want to change and find some positive affirmations to give to yourself about that change and the way it looks right now. The change has already happened. Practice being positive. The change has already happened. I'll watch the time. I'm inviting you to begin to feel the happiness that you've created for yourself in that shift in thinking. It's a great accomplishment to change your mind. So now begin to close out your thoughts and to look back toward that tunnel. And we can begin to descend together through that tunnel. Say goodbye to that space for now. It'll be there for you again the moment you need it. So we begin to descend through that same tunnel faster and faster. Maybe you see lights. Perhaps there's a sound or a sensation that you're noticing as you travel. Zooming back down that tunnel. And at the end, you can see another dot of light. And let's approach that light and slow ourselves down. And begin to re-emerge inside of the room in our head, looking forward to the windows that are perhaps 20 feet away. And let's take some steps forward toward those windows. Now we're 15 feet. A few more steps. 10 feet. A little further. 5 feet. 4 feet. 3 feet. And now reach out 2 feet and touch that windowsill. And as you touch it, step back consciously into your eyes and feel yourself return fully to your conscious body, your conscious mind, and the experience of being inside of your body. And let's breathe 5 more times. And you can continue with your eyes closed or open your eyes as you see fit, whatever is most loving for you. So breathe in, out, 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 out. 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 One more. In, out, 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 out. So I'm wishing you peace and that realization of the change and the loving experience of a new pattern. If anyone would like to talk or have questions, I'm here. And the microphone is open.
Hi, Pat. This is Heidi here. I would love to, this is my 4th time spending with you. The first time was profound. I would love for you to go back a month from now, a month before now, and just maybe you could tell me what the difference was, because that was a profound experience for me. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, tonight was good, but I just wondered what 1 month before now was all about.
It was I would say that it was probably undoubtedly not the first time in your life, because you probably wouldn't be here if it was the first time in your life. But you recognized for the first time, really consciously, that you are not your body, that you are a spirit in a body, that you're not a body with a spirit, which is why you can grow and be loving and change and be beautiful and have physical problems that would say just the opposite. I'm always drawn back to the veterans I've worked with who've come back from places with, missing body parts, and things changed, and they have not diminished in spirit. Most of them have grown. And I think, I mean, of course, and some of the words that I say to you may ring true, and if they don't, then there's something else there for you to discover. But the fact is, the moment you begin to really relax your mind and realize that you can separate your conscious mind from your body and do something else with it, you begin to see new things and have new experiences. And the key to being able to do that from a physical standpoint is the breathing. So when you breathe this way, this is modeled on Buteyko breathing, which is a spin-off of an earlier breathing technique from Kundalini Yoga. But Konstantin Buteyko in Russia and his wife, both doctors, were trying to deal with people that had asthma. And in the 50s, 60s, 70s, in Russia, the former Soviet Union, they didn't have inhalers for everybody. And so people were having a lot of trouble. And what the Buteyko doctors figured out was that asthma, in almost every case, there are organic asthmas that this doesn't fit, but in most cases, asthma is the body. It's a positive thing. So we as humans tend to breathe too much. We're not getting the exercise that we used to get, and we just suck in a lot of air. And so deep breathing is fine, but too much deep breathing is like too much water. It'll kill you. And not enough breathing obviously has its problems too. But physiologically, what happens, if you breathe too much, you're getting literally too much oxygen into your system, and the nitrogen-oxygen mix doesn't work. And all of your organs begin to get upset because the pH of your blood is changed, and you can easily shut down, and organs begin to turn themselves off. And so the flip side of too much oxygen is not enough oxygen. So you have acidosis and oxidosis. And right in the middle is where you want to be. Because in your middle, the calmness of your body takes over. The dopamine works. All the brain chemistry is making your body happy. And the reason that all is harmonized now is because of the breathing. You have perfectly balanced your pH in your lungs. So when you inhale for 2 counts, and they're not huge inhales, they're just little sips of air. Mm-hmm. But you sip, and then that pause is key. Because that pause is allowing the alveoli in your lungs to draw the oxygen off that gas that you inhaled and do the nitrogen conversion and do all the cleaning job. And then you exhale it all over 4 counts. And you do it all through your nose. Because the nasal concha is designed to clean and humidify and temperature control the air that's going in. And guess what? The cool air does. It cools off your heart, because where are your lungs? They're right around your heart. And so when the lungs cool off, the heart cools off. And so all these physiological things happen which allow your conscious mind to take a little trip. And I would have to say that the success you experienced and that you will continue to experience is driven first by the quality of your breathing. And so in, out, 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 in. And that fully in and the fully out is the nitrogen oxygen mix. Because when you're empty, your body is going, where's the air? Where's the air? I better get it somewhere else. And so suddenly all the organs go, oh, I'll give you some. I'll give you some. And it happens instantaneously. And so you're breathing in, you're breathing out, and the pauses on both ends, your body's going, okay, let's do this. Okay, let's do that. And it runs itself. And your brain says, oh, this is cool. I like this. And your subconscious says, well, I guess nothing's going on here. And then your conscious mind can go. If that would be my physiological answer to it. Now, different subjects in meditation may or may not stimulate better, or what we would call a better or worse, or deeper or less deep experience. So as you practice this, and this is a practice, you discover the things upon which you want to focus. And my goal for you is to learn how to go to where it is you want to go. And so I will offer different things, and they're not the answer at all for everybody. But in the process, you will learn by having done it, oh, I want to go here, or I want to go there, or I want to stay right here, or I want to go to another side of the world, or I want to go to another planet, or I want to go visit God, or I want to go visit my mother who's in heaven. This is all real, and it's all possible. And because we decide, imagination, thank you, Dr. Einstein, imagination is the only thing faster than the speed of light. Mm-hmm. And so when you imagine something, everything in your room right there, the lights, the books, the shelves, that was created from somebody's imagination. They just made it real. They manifested their idea into a bookshelf that you ended up buying. They manifested their idea into a frying pan that I ended up buying. Mm-hmm. And so if I say, I want to not smoke cigarettes, I can manifest that. And say, okay, I'm stopping. And it's not a withdrawal thing. Oh, I have to suffer through this. I just changed my mind. Mm-hmm. And the body, thanks to the breathing, will respond. And when tomorrow I'm dying for a cigarette, but I don't smoke, by the way, but it's a good metaphor. I just realized, well, that's my ego telling me that I should keep smoking because it knows I'm hurting myself. I'm not doing something loving for me by smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. I can change my mind and do something loving for me by just saying, oh, yeah, I'd rather be happy with myself than angry at myself, hating myself for not having the strength to not do it and fight it off. I'm not going to fight it off. I'm just going to decide not to do it. Well, what am I going to do instead? I don't know. I'll drink some water. I'll do some push-ups. I'll take a walk. I'll read a book. And I'm creating in that process a new habit. Does this make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get all that. Mm-hmm.
So the first, and the first time you really get to a place, it can be mind-blowing. And I'll sit here to tell you, and I'm happy to report that the mind-blowing times repeat. And then you realize that every one of them is actually mind-blowing. Mm. And you say, oh, I'm just getting used to this, and now it's easier for me to get there.
Yeah.
And the practice, so, I mean, this is a non-visual example, all right? When I meditate and do these things, I like to focus on going through the whole thing of going to the center of the earth, up through my body, out the top of my head, up into the sky and looking around and flying off into the solar system and looking at the planets and going to that place way out there where there's that light. And I can go into that white room and talk to God. That's what I like to do. Mm. Now, the first time that I did it, it took me a half hour to get the habit of doing it. Mm-hmm. And now, you want to see a magic trick? I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, I swear to you, it's that easy. Yeah. And as you will experience, and some of you that I'm grateful for you to stay on and listen to me talk a little bit, you're going to find that this gets easier. And when it gets easier, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it right. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I must be doing something wrong. This is too easy. What am I missing here?" Nothing. Nothing. I've been to China 18 times. I've trained martial arts in the Shaolin Temple. I've sat with the monks. I've done all that stuff for the last 50 years. And Zazen, I studied Zazen in Hawaii privately for 4 years, 3 years, all during teaching and playing music. It was all, you know. And what I came to realize is that the fight I was having, the resistance I was having to doing it was just my ego telling me I was not worthy, telling me I couldn't do it. And it would give me a laundry list of reasons why. And I would just have to look at them and say, well, okay, that's something I have to change, blah, 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 blah. And it became a future tense thing. I will change this, means I haven't done it yet. I had a great teacher who once said, don't say the same prayer twice. Because if you do, it means you didn't believe it the first time you said it. And that's tough, because you're asking for help, you know. So help me with this. Well, help yourself with that. Say thank you for the help. Thank you for curing my body. Thank you for this healthy body. My body is completely healthy. And now last year, I had throat cancer. I had a tonsil cancer, and it was related to the HPV virus. So I have all I need is an eye patch and a parrot, and I'd be a great pirate, because I have the scar. All right. So I've got the scar. If I talk too much, you can probably hear it in my voice. I sound a little nasally, but so my voice quality has changed. But I'm healthy. You know, I do approximately 80 push-ups a day. I practice martial arts all the time. I teach martial arts. I am not living like a victim. I'm living like a healthy person that is loving the life. I'm loving the people around me. I love you, which is why I'm here sharing this with you. Because you are a spirit, not a body. I love you. I know your spirit already. And that's why we're connecting. Because we're not strangers. There's a great British botanist named Rupert Sheldrake who did a lot of plant studies. He put the daisies on this side of the room and the wall in between the daisies on that side of the room. And he'd torture these ones to see if these ones did anything. And he discovered that, yes, indeed, when these were under stress, these ones, which had no exposure to the stress at all, had a resonance with those daisies. And they had an effect from the stress these ones were experiencing. And he called that the morphogenic field and morphogenic field resonance. So morphogenesis is the changing of your creation. And so we, you and me and Barbara, and I'm looking at Ellen over here and Catherine, and here's a funny name, Zoom user. We are connected in this morphogenic energetic field, which is why you keep showing up to this. Because what I believe you're recognizing from me is that I'm actually trying to share with you some love. And when you receive that love, then you interpret it the way that you need to interpret it. And you come out the other end happier. And clearly I can go on forever. But I'll be quiet now. And I'll let you go. I see a hand. Yes, Ellen. Oh, wait, you're muted, Ellen. Let me try to see if I can unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself, certainly. Ellen. Hang on, Ellen. There's Ellen. Okay, Ellen, I'm unmuting you. Right? I think. Hold on. Zoom is doing it to me again. Ask to unmute. Okay. So I'm asking you to unmute. Is that something you can do? Pin, add, blah, blah, blah.
It happened.
Ellen,
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you. So I have been here almost from the onset, very much appreciating the love that you emanate. Alongside, what came through when you were describing the breathing all along, and I may have missed it because I wasn't at every session. When I was doing the inhalation, it was through my nose, but I was assuming I was breathing out through my mouth. So number one, thank you.
You,
Now I will,
you're not
breathe out.
wrong. You're not wrong, but it's different.
Okay,
And
that's
so you're
fine.
fine. You haven't been doing anything wrong. Breathing, if you can, and some people cannot physically breathe in through their nose for whatever reason. Well, what are you going to do? Breathe through your mouth. All right. So it's, and they're the ego saying, well, you can't do this because he said to breathe through your nose, and you can't breathe through your nose because you had this thing happen to you in your life and you can only breathe through your mouth. Therefore, you cannot do meditation. Wrong. So if you're breathing, you're good. All right.
Yes.
The nasal concha, all that extra stuff is nice, but it's
Uh-huh.
not necessary. But it's not necessary.
Okay.
And all the side to side nasal stuff, that's
Yeah.
all great, and it really works
Uh-huh.
for what it works for. But if you never did it once in your life, you'd still be okay. You see what I mean?
I do.
Imagine a panel with lots of dials on it. And every dial represented an organ in your body, or every dial represented some chemical thing in your body. And you can go to there's 5,000 dials here. And you go, twist that one a little bit. Okay, that means you're breathing through your nose and not your mouth. Oh, let's twist this one a little bit. Oh, you're breathing through your mouth and not your nose. You follow me? And you can tweak all these little dials. And that's what Chinese Qigong is. And that's what traditional Chinese medicine is based upon. We're tweaking dials. But if you never knew you had a set of dials there and you just lived your life, you'd be fine. You see what I mean?
Agreed, d'accordo. One more thing to just share with the group of us. I heard this wonderful podcast, and I've just gotten this book, and it's called Instant Healing by Serge Kahili King. And I've just begun it, but it's talking so much about the power of imagination for self-healing. So
Yes.
totally in
Did you,
concert with all that you're
are you
sharing.
able to type the name and author into the chat and share that with people?
Yes, I could. Hold
Because
on.
I imagine that could resonate with a number of people.
Yes, that good thought. Okay, let me just do this really quickly. It seems to be really quite a miraculous exploration.
Oh, I got something to say about miracles. Since you said it.
Okay.
We're trained in the West, and I think we've always been trained. Maybe humanity has been trained from the beginning that we expect miracles to be instantaneous. And based upon what we just did for the last half hour, a miracle is instantaneous because we've decided to change our minds. However, our egos will say, well, I don't feel any different. It must not have worked. But what we have to remember is that while the miracle on the mental, the spiritual, the internal energetic side is instantaneous, the physical manifestation of the miracle can take time. And we have to remember that time is man-made, right? Human-made. And so we just let that idea go and experience the miracle in every moment, because we are in every moment. There is no time. That's, again, Dr. Einstein, thank you for that. But that's the way to approach it. So, and that comes back to the statement I made earlier about don't say the same prayer twice. Because the energy changed the moment you said the prayer. And when I came out of the hospital, they couldn't, I'm the poster child for what to do right for Yale University Smilo Cancer Center. Because I go in there, you go through something like this, they've got their hooks in you for about 5 years. So you go in there, and they're looking up and down and left and right and in and out and top and bottom, and they're saying, and they're shaking their head. I'll leave you with a funny story. I went to the dermatology guy because of radiation, this and that, and everything's fine, right? And I'm standing there in the blue Johnny coat, and the nurse walks in and he says, "So what are you doing?" And he knew I was doing martial arts. And I said, "Well, I'm teaching meditation." And he said, "Really?" This is a doctor at Yale. And I said, yeah, it's great. I love it. And he said, oh man, I've always wanted to do something like that. And I said, well, I can probably, if you want to, at the end of our little session here, doctor, I can give you a 2-minute lesson. Might change your life. And so we go through the examination. And as with many conversations in doctor's offices, he probably just thought it was just that and was ready to go. And I said, well, would you like that thing? And he said, oh, you really would do it? And I went, yeah. And the nurse is standing there. And he looks at her and she says, yeah, I really want to do this because we need something for this. And so I said, okay. And I stood up and I was doing it related to a Chinese technique that's totally related to what we're doing, but not necessarily part of this class. But I'd happily show it to you. Actually, it has to do with breathing, so I'll show you next week. But
Okay.
I'm standing there in my Johnny coat. You know what a Johnny coat is? You up the back, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in the doctor's office and I'm lifting my arms up and I'm breathing and they're lifting their arms up and they're breathing and I bring my arms down and my Johnny coat falls off. And and I'm standing there, you know, that way, kind of buck naked. And here's the doctor and the nurse going, oh, you're breathing and breathing. And I'm standing there going, oh, we're breathing, breathing. So I stood there for 5 minutes teaching them how to do this thing completely naked. It was one of the funniest moments of my life. And
That's great.
and they got to the end and they're looking at me like, oh, that was really great. And they don't even notice that I'm standing there naked. And I started laughing. I said, well, I guess I'm being self-conscious. So, so I'll leave you with that. Yeah.
Bravo.
All right. All right. If anyone else has anything they want to add, I'm more than welcome to hear it. Otherwise, I'll let you go. I want to thank you. Oh, good. 2 messages down below. Instant Healing. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Instant Healing by Serge King. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. God bless.
Now,
And
to the next time. Yes.
very good. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The content, exercises, and techniques provided in this paid subscription online course are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or before beginning any new exercise regimen. If you experience any pain or difficulty with the exercises, stop immediately and consult your healthcare provider. Participation in this course is entirely voluntary and at your own risk. The creators, instructors, and distributors of this course disclaim any liability for any injuries or health conditions that may result from following the exercises or utilizing the information provided. By subscribing to and participating in this course, you acknowledge that you understand and agree to these terms and assume full responsibility for any risks, injuries, or damages, known or unknown, that you might incur.